Hello, lovely people. About 12 hours ago, as of the time I'm recording this, a University of Idaho student made a post in the Moscow Murder subreddit talking about his or her disgust of true crime tourism since the murders happened in Idaho. And I want to read that post to you, and I want to read some of the replies to you because we don't always get to hear directly from the people where the incident happened. And as of the recording of this video, there's something like 215 replies. I'm going to read off 3 of them that I think are especially insightful and poignant. And I want to thank one of my favorite OG subscribers for sending me this Reddit to share with the rest of you, because I think it's really, really important for true crime viewers and especially true crime creators to hear what it feels like for people who are going through the reality of such heinous crime, how it feels for them to be descended upon and for people to profit off of such a traumatic event in so many people's lives. So the first post I'm going to read is the post that kicks off the thread, and it's from a U of I student. U of I student here. I showed up to this subreddit hoping it was dead, but no dice. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm sure you're all lovely people, but this event tore my community apart, and seeing people on social media treat it like a game of Clue soured me on the whole true crime thing. I used to be super into it. Wasn't super active on Reddit or anything, but I listened to podcasts like I needed it to live. Point is, I felt like I should say something. I've wanted to say something for a year now. Did you know we got tourists? After the murders, campus got true crime tourists. Moscow is tiny. You get a feel for who's local, a student, and who's not. And these people stuck out like sore thumbs. They weren't dressed right for the weather and stopped every 5 seconds to take pictures. I can't begin to describe the rage that fills me thinking about this even a year later. This was the worst thing to ever happen to us, and people were taking pictures like it was Disneyland. I was terrified for weeks. I didn't sleep even after I drove back to my hometown 6 hours away. I didn't know the kids personally, but I still grieve for them. We all do. I don't think we'll ever stop. But those murder tourists, all the so-called true crime influencers, even people on this subreddit, they get to move on. They get to forget about Ethan and Madison and Xana and Kaylee in a way none of their families and us up in here in Moscow ever can. I know the kid who drove Ethan home that night. His mom taught me in elementary school. I entreat you, please, please do not come to Moscow when the trial starts. Watch it from home and watch it like you would a funeral. It would be too much to ask all of you to not make theories, I know. I've had the bug too. Just remember that this could have and still can happen to you. And here is a reply from somebody who went through the Columbine crisis and shares their experience, but also a lot of wisdom about how to deal with an ordeal like this. And most importantly, that you can't control. Even though you can speak your feelings and share your feelings and say what you wish not to happen in order for those feelings not to be trampled on, you also can't control what other people do. I'm from Littleton, Colorado, and attended Columbine High School. First, I wanted to validate your experience and feelings. Everything you said is solely an experience that only people who have lived through a community tragedy can understand. It's haunting, and unfortunately, Moscow will never go back to how it was before the murders. Grieving isn't only for death. You are in a grieving process. People drove by Columbine every day like it's a tourist vacation spot, took tons of photos, even tried to enter the high school. They still do. It hasn't died down as much as one would think. The anniversary week of the shooting, we barely had class because of so many threats the school faced. There unfortunately will always be people who will not understand the experience you've lived through. What I can say is that focusing on your community, your friends, family, and most importantly, yourself will be key during this healing period. I had the same feelings when I was your age, and something I learned as I aged, I'm late 20s now, is that nothing, and I truly mean nothing, is in our control. This subreddit, people, the trial, everything, unfortunately, in this world, we don't have a grip on as much as we think we do. Take your time off of social media. Don't check this subreddit as much as you'd like. Don't feed into other social media accounts because they're going to hurt more than they help. Remind yourself why you love Moscow, and those reasons might have changed, but you're going to heal and things will die down. It truly is up to the people of Moscow to heal their town, and as much as it sucks to have outside influences delay the healing process, you have to remember that this is what is important. You and your community. Don't waste your energy here. It's going to fall on deaf ears and only frustrate you more. I wish you only the best, and I hope you can heal as time goes by. My DMs are always open if you need anything. The next couple of replies I'm going to read talk specifically about the true crime grifters on YouTube and social media and how much they fear for really the future, considering how people are making money on clicks and views off of other people's tragedy. And I think their words are poignant, and it comes directly from them, not from, someone like me who's constantly saying the same thing over and over. I live in Moscow too, and am on campus fairly frequently for different things. While I haven't noticed much more traffic other than media during important dates, I know that there have been true crime tourists. They don't bother me nearly as much as the YouTubers who are trying to profit off of it. It's fine to be interested in this case. The last case that was like this was Ted Bundy's attack on the sorority in Florida. It garnered similar attention. You can be a responsible true crime content creator whose goal is to bring attention to the subject and the evidence, much like a journalist would. Or you could be like certain YouTubers who crank out 10 videos a week that provide nothing except accusations that hurt people. The cool thing now is to suggest that the suspect is being framed by the police, FBI, UI, some local cabal, etc. Maybe he's innocent, but don't throw other people under the bus just to get engagement. And it's so clear that most people commenting on this haven't the faintest clue of what Moscow is like. Why would the suspect go to Idaho to shop? Isn't the shopping better in Washington? It's so much bigger. Not if you want Target or Winco. Mad Greek is the best vegan restaurant in the area. That's where he met the victims. My brother in Christ, Mad Greek is not a vegan restaurant just because it has a few vegan dishes. Why is Moscow so silent about this case? Must be a cover-up. Nope. Moscow is not remotely silent about this case, and candles and pics around the town would show you that. I think Tri-State still was showing Vandal Strong on their electronic billboard until somewhat recently. I don't mind people talking about it, but don't hurt other innocent people with speculation. Ignore the grifters on YouTube and apply logic. I am a true crime fan. However, as time goes on, most of the true crime community, mainly content creators, are really turning me off. The wild conspiracies they create without any kind of concern for the people they make them about is sickening. They push out content for clicks and views, and it's very obvious which ones are like this. It concerns me. I feel less worried about the scary people they talk about and more worried about the state of the followers they have. These people are on a witch hunt, following anything that gets tossed out and using it as a justification to ruin the person's life. Dylan, for example, or both roommates, but mainly her, as she's the target in their eyes. The microscope they've put on this young girl. How often I hear, if I were in that situation, I'd do X. Enter in some sort of thing like call 911, even though they don't know the whole story or how they'd act in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn state. They could be potentially ruining her life more than it might be already. Blaming her when I'm sure she already blames herself, saying tons of horrible things that are most likely untrue, and when the truth comes out, those people can move on with their lives while she is left to pick up the pieces of her own. not only from the horrific experience she was forced to endure, but also the terrible things people who don't even know her have to say about what they would do in the situation. I really hope she's in therapy of some sort. I even hate the media and how they are so very tactless when creating their headlines. I recall seeing headlines with the term slaughtered in it. How disgusting can you be? There are parents and siblings and friends seeing that, and I'm sure it's painful for them. But they pretend to care about justice for these kids, when in reality, it's very obvious that is not the case. I feel for all the families and community. I find it to feel pretty gross thinking of people viewing this as some sort of TV show drama. It seems like people have lost their sense of reality. Like I said earlier, as of the time of this recording, there's something like 215 replies in this thread, and I'll link to the thread in the description below. And most of the comments are very respectful and very compassionate and understand. There are lots of different points of views. And I also can see a lot of people's points of view where a lot of people are saying is, hey, a lot of people grieve in their own way. And one of the ways they grieve is by going and seeing the scene of the crime and things like that. So I think their points of view are also valid. There are also some replies that are truly insensitive and horrible. So I'll link to the thread and you can read through it yourself if you'd like. But I think it's really important for us to hear directly from the people who are in the town themselves and how they feel, and for us to consider their experience before we make the next video about this heinous, heinous tragedy. Thank you for watching, and peace out.